tried
list.
one in
Best
Harvard.
used by
And so
to
all the ones south of
Yeah,
Harvard.
well, but you gotta
So,
find somebody, somebody's gotta have a time.
built on, and nothing happened in Harvard for 12, 14 years.
It's 1:30, so we're gonna open this meeting at Kenton County Zoning Board of Appeals. The reason for our hearing today is application Z 250027. This is a request for an A1 agricultural district to the A2 agricultural district. The applicant is DDS Enterprises LLC. The address is 26015 Flatiron Road in Harvard. The PIN number, this is part of PIN 0619100006. The subject property is 5.6 acres and is located on the southeast corner of the intersection of Flatiron Road and County Line Road in Dunham Township. We'll start by having the Zoning Board of Appeals members introduce themselves and the township in which they reside, starting on my left.
Robert Cozen, Algonquin Township.
Mary Donner, Greenwood Township.
Charlie Eldridge, Richmond Township.
I'm Linnea Kustra in Alden Township.
Vicki Gardner, Nanda Township.
Kurt Schnabel, Riley Township.
Jessica Beverly, Door Township.
This petition has been reviewed and the following items have been received prior to today's scheduled hearing. The publisher's certificate of publication from the newspaper is dated March 1, 2025 and thereby meets ordinance requirements. Affidavit of posting was signed and date posted was March 4, 2025 and thereby meets ordinance requirements. Affidavit of mailing was signed and date mailed was February 27, 2025 and thereby meets ordinance requirements. The survey has been checked against the petition, legal notice, and publication in the newspaper, and all three match. The filing fees have been paid. The endangered species consultation was not required for this petition, and the McHenry County Soil and Water Conservation District report has been received. This is NRI number L250074668. Seeing as we have no public here, it's just the petitioners, I won't have to go through all of the rigmarole, how we proceed, but anyhow, what you'll do is you'll present your testimony and then we'll ask questions and then staff will give their report and then in the end you'll have the opportunity for a closing statement through you or your attorney. So anyone who's going to be speaking today will have to be sworn in. So if you're going to be talking, I would ask you to raise your right hand. Do you affirm that the testimony you give today shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, so we'll turn it over to the petitioner and go ahead and.
Good afternoon. For the record, Elizabeth Bittner on behalf of the petitioner DDS Enterprises LLC. The petition before you is a simple
And
A1.
if you could speak up, some of
Apologies.
us are older.
The petition that is before you guys this afternoon is a simple A1 to A2 with a variance request to allow the house in its current configuration below the 65-foot requirement. The current zoning of the parcel in question is currently A1 and has been used as a principal or as a residential residence with agricultural purposes. The petition before you is consistent with A2 uses, the surrounding A1 uses, as well as the goal to maintain the integrity of their valuable farmland in the community. The variance more specifically is to allow it to remain in its current configuration 49 feet instead of the 65-foot based on the way it has been structured for years. This petition is also consistent with the 2030 and the 2030 and beyond plan and will have minimal impact to agricultural, natural, and water resources and is consistent with future land use designations as agricultural. If I may proceed with asking my petitioner questions. Please state your name for the record.
Daniel Sass?
And are you affiliated with DDS Enterprises LLC?
Yes, I'm a member manager.
And are you familiar with the property located at 26015 Flatiron Road in Harvard, Illinois?
Yes, I am.
And is that the subject of this petition today?
Yes, ma'am.
And you are seeking a map amendment from A1 to A2
Correct.
on approximately 5.609 acres?
Correct.
And just to nip something in the bud right away, there is a mobile home that's on the property, correct?
Correct.
And that mobile home that's located on the property, did you apply for an agricultural exemption permit?
Yes, I did.
And is the person that is occupying that mobile home engaged in agricultural purposes on the property?
Yes, he is.
Do you believe that the proposed A2 map amendment is consistent with existing surrounding properties?
Yes.
And do you believe that the property as it is proposed is suitable for A1?
No, not with the buildings.
And the remaining property that's shown on that survey is not farmable, correct?
What is not in buildings, we will continue to farm.
Right. So the remaining 5.609 is better suited as A2, is that
Yes.
correct? Do you believe that property values will be diminished if the property value of this subject property would be diminished if the 5.609 acres were to remain as A1?
Would it ask me again, please?
If the property as it exists on that survey, the 5.609 acres, since you're saying that it is not, it's better suited as A2, do you think that if it were to remain as A1, that the property value of the 5.609 acres would be diminished?
Yes.
And do you think the A2 proposed designation would benefit public health, safety, and welfare?
You would provide more housing? Yes,
Okay.
I believe so.
And do you believe there's a public need for A2 properties?
I believe so, yes.
And do you think that the community would be better served if this proposal were to go through as A2?
Yes.
Okay. Now, more specifically relative to the variance request that we are requesting, the property has been in its current configuration for years, correct?
Yes.
And I know this might sound silly, but the house has not moved, is that correct?
Correct.
So it's still been approximately 49 feet from the roadway, is that correct?
For many years, yes.
And do you believe there is a hardship if that variance has not been granted?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. And the purpose of the variance is to allow the residence to remain in its current configuration, is that correct?
Yes.
And you don't believe that by the county granting this variance that it's going to create a hardship for surrounding property owners, correct?
No, ma'am.
And this variance request seeks to remedy a hardship that was created by past owners on the property, is that correct?
Yes.
And you don't believe that by granting this variance that it would be detrimental to the surrounding property owners?
No.
And by granting this variance, it doesn't impede in the light or air to surrounding properties, is that correct?
No, correct. That's correct.
And you don't believe that granting this variance would confer a special privilege to you that other surrounding them, property owners do not have, correct?
No.
And you believe that this proposed map amendment and variance request is consistent with the 2030 comprehensive plan?
Yes.
And do you believe that this variance and map amendment is consistent with the 2030 and beyond plan?
Yes.
I have nothing further. Oh, I take that back. What is to the north of the property?
Farmland?
And what about to the east of the property?
Farmland?
And the south of the property?
Farmland?
And what about to the county line across the street to the west?
Farmland?
Now I have nothing.
And also, I think you've addressed all the standards, but would you like to incorporate your written answers to the questions that was in that?
Yes, please.
All right, we'll start with questions on my right, starting with Ms. Becker.
I have no questions.
Mr. Schnabel.
Just for informational purposes, who will be living in the main house?
At this point, I don't know who will be. It needs some repair. It's been
Basic.
rented for years, and if we fix it up and keep it, I'm not sure.
Okay, I'll move along to the next colleague.
Ms. Gardner.
Thank you. So the house is occupied now?
No, it is vacant currently.
It's vacant, okay. And how long have you owned the property?
We closed end of October, and then the tenant moved out 1st of December, approximately.
But there is somebody still in the mobile home on the property?
Yes.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Mr. Eldridge?
Yes, the 5.6 acres is part of a larger parcel, is that correct?
Yes.
And how big is the larger parcel?
It was 108 acres that we purchased.
So you own a total of 108, including the 5.6.
Yes.
And are you at this time creating a separate parcel for the 5.6, or just saying, changing the zoning on the petition parcel?
I believe the goal is to create a separate parcel, have a separate parcel index number for the 5.609 acres, because I believe it's part of a 37-acre parcel under the existing PIN.
And what exemption of the Plat Act are you relying on?
It's been in the same configuration since prior to 1973.
And approximately how long ago was the house constructed?
That is an excellent question.
I would be guessing 30s, 40s, plaster walls,
And as far as you know, it was constructed lawfully when it was constructed?
as far as I know.
Can't ask you something you don't know. I have no further questions.
Ms. Donner?
I have a question. What does DDS Enterprises stand for, and what do you do?
Dan and Denise Sass Enterprises.
Okay,
We did have some rental properties in the county, which we've since sold. We're basically just farmland. My wife and I and my 3 sons, this is my oldest, Ryan, we farm. I'm 4th generation, 2nd in the county, but, so he's 5th, and hopefully there'll be more, got grandkids hopefully coming up. So that's what it stands for.
okay.
So it's a family ownership of the farmland.
Perfect. I have no other questions.
Mr. Cozen?
Not to delay the process, I have no questions.
He'd find something that you didn't know before.
I don't have any other questions either. Done an excellent job. Staff have any questions?
No questions at this time.
Okay, so we'll move on to then the staff report.
Certainly. For the record, my name is Anna Kurtzman. I'm the senior planner for McHenry County. Subject property is currently zoned A1. The surrounding properties on the McHenry County side of the county line is A1 as well. There is some A2, roughly a quarter mile-ish down Flat Island Road. The surrounding land uses, really no surprise, this area is largely agricultural with a few scattered farm homes on Flat Island Road. Future land use is also for agricultural. Staff has no concerns with the requested rezoning or with the recognition of the existing condition of the location of the house.
Does anyone have questions for staff? Okay, then we'll move to your closing statement.
Again, I appreciate your time this afternoon. This is a very simple, straight A1 to A2 with a variance for a pre-existing condition that's been in the same condition for many, many years. My client, like I said, it believes that it is within the 2030 plan and the 2030 and beyond comprehensive plan. So we would ask that the county approve the variance as well as the map amendment.
Okay, at this time, we'll close the hearing portion of the meeting and we'll move on to the voting portion of the meeting.
Madam Chairman, I move acceptance of the petition
I'll second.
and the variance.
It's been moved by Mr. Eldridge, seconded by Ms. Gardner to approve the the request for the reclassification as well as the variance. Discussion, Mr. Eldridge.
Yes, it is the public policy of McHenry County to try to preserve original farmsteads wherever possible. It is generally not desired by farmers to have lots of old farmsteads. They tend to not want to be landlords, and this gives an opportunity for people who want to be live in a farmette to do so. The A2 is created explicitly for this purpose. This is perhaps the most rural part of the county. I'm not sure that there is any other part of the county that is, I'm sure there's no part of the county that is any more rural than this, and I'm not quite sure if there's any part of the county that is quite as rural as this. I believe that all of the standards have been met, both for the variation, and the variation is a typical issue in this kind of petition in any case, because many years ago, there was no setback requirements when these houses were built in the 1880s through sometime after World War II is when the county started creating such requirements of any kind. So people did pretty much what made sense to them, which varies all over the place with this kind of house. I think this is an entirely simple, as council has said, and appropriate request, and I shall support the petition.
Ms. Gardner.
I agree with Mr. Eldridge. This is an almost perfectly square piece of property, which is great. No little weird pieces sticking off or anything. The rest of the property plus part of this property will continue to be farmed, which is good. And the Plat Act has been met, and I'm in support.
Mr. Cozen.
The short answer is I'm in support of the application, but I cannot resist 2 points, being one who is the furthest east in the county, Algonquin Township, from this being on this area, to note that the western line of this lot has most likely been created in 1840, and the lot description of the government land grant was probably created in 1836. And given that it is still out there in the description, I would have no objection to how it is configured.
Mr. Schnabel.
Whatever Robert just said. No, I support the petition.
Ms. Beverly.
I'm in support.
Ms. Donner.
Okay, the reason I was asking about DDS Enterprises is because I looked it up on Secretary of State's, and I looked it up someplace else, and DDS Enterprises was either going to be somebody who works with pipelines and is sectioned out of Mississippi, so God only knows what you would be doing with that property, or they do changes for body parts in automobiles and do that's not the word I wanted to use, restoration of vehicles. So I'm like, what are they doing out there? So thank you very much for easing my inquiries. Look it up, it's really fascinating. And I will be voting in favor of the family enterprise.
And I agree with the comments of my colleagues, and I have to add my own little bit of trivia in that I am well aware that this is the most rural area of the county because I grew up on Flatiron Road, and the school bus went right by this house all the time, so I know this house was there. And
Way back in the.
That was part of
Since
And it is a wonderful area with beautiful farmland, and this reclassification just fits right in with maintaining the buildings, but also maintaining the rural nature and having the owners still be able to farm the rest of this. So I'm in favor of the request. So I'll call for the vote. Mr. Eldridge?
Yes.
Ms. Gardner?
Yes.
Mr. Cozen?
Yes.
Mr. Schnabel?
Yes.
Ms. Beverly?
Yes.
Ms. Donner?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes, so this will go to the county board with a 7-0 vote approving the request.
Thank you.
This time the hearing is closed. Thanks, everybody.